What's up, bros and hoes, whatever floats you go? It's Relentless here, and I apologize for my voice. I'm a little under the weather. I got a cold flu situation going on, so my voice may be crackling and I may fumble and jumble over my words more than I typically do. So I apologize for first and foremost. I hope you're just all having a fantastic weekend. The GE Global event Ambush is coming to an end. I believe we have like 14 hours left, maybe a little less. I've enjoyed it thus far, even though the devs choose to just leave it as is, and it's become, I don't know, not as fun as times as previous patches, but you know, fun nonetheless, especially when you're just ganking other players in the DZ and just running amok. I've really enjoyed this build. It brings back some old memories once it was first introduced into the game. There will be some gameplay at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's hop into the Terminator. As you can see, we are utilizing the 5-piece alpha, and the 5-piece alpha is, once the menus stop being so laggy, is 2-piece bonus is 100% health regen. The 3-piece is 5% weapon damage. The 4-piece is if your primary and secondary weapon is of the same category, which is in this case 2 SMGs, they share the free talent. All talent requirements are ignored for all weapon talents. The set bonus is plus 25% health regen and 10% weapon damage. If you're running this in a group, that's why I typically choose to just stick with a 5-piece and say, in this case, Barrett's chest piece instead of the 6-piece, because in order to activate the 6-piece more or less, it requires you to get a kill, and with each kill pretty much your ult cycles, and it's not really reliable, and you can't really depend upon it when you're PvPing. But we'll start with the gear first. It's the Barrett's bulletproof vest, max health at 1272. The Barrett's bulletproof vest talent is no skills on cooldown, increases skill power by 10%, 1 skill on cooldown increases damage by 5%, and 2 skill cooldowns increase armor by 10%. In the major attributes, we have health on a kill and 674 in health. Now the increasing of fire crest and tacticians, if you so choose to, instead of the health on the kill, you can also put EDR or all resistance instead of the health on the kill, as I have. But as always, you want ammo capacity in the minor attributes, and in the mod slots I have 264 firearms and 3100 health. Moving on to the mask, we have 983 in armor. Not quite fully optimized, but getting there. Pretty much maxed out on its firearms at 1401. In the majors we have 4% crit chance, and in the minors we have 17% burn resistance. And in its mod slot, another 265 firearms and 3061 in health. Excuse me, apologize for that. Moving on to the knee pads. Once again, not completely optimized, but slowly but surely getting there. We have 1393 in firearms, 1574 in armor. Armor is a little low compared to like my Benchy Shadow knee pads at 1668, but it should get a little over, if not about 1610, 1620 when fully optimized. And then add your attributes, you want health, unless you are running with a dedicated healer in a group, and when accompanied with the 125% health regen, such as a really skill-powered equipped, such as Reclaimer, then you can pretty much stay in the box, and even though he might have great healing speed, that 125% health regen is also going to help and kick in, so that way you're going to recover your health from all the damage that you're taking a lot faster. In the minor attributes, we have increased kill XP, not so much too helpful, 33% burn resistance and 33% disorient resistance. And in the mod slots, we have 262 stamina and 2861 in health with a first aid self-heal. Moving on to the backpack, 1220 in armor, Slowly optimizing it, maxed out on its firearms. And the major attributes, we have the 9% crit hit damage, and the minors, as always, you want ammo capacity, because you will be unable, well, I wouldn't say unable, but you don't want to switch weapons, because you're basically using the free talent from your secondary weapon and applying it to your primary weapon, so therefore you'll be using the same archetype weapons, and you need as much ammo as possible. And the minor attributes, I'm so sick, guys, I apologize, but mod slots, and not the minors, we have firearms with health and 6% first aid self-heals. Moving on to the gloves, we have the trifecta, in this case with the SMG damage and the major attributes of the gloves. If you are running with ARs, then you want AR damage here, accompanied with crit chance and crit damage. Moving on to the holster, we have 1401, 1389, and 1356. Low in the electronics section, but you're not going to be relying on your electronics. But if you do have higher electronics, then you're going to be closer to that 100k skill power, which doesn't really matter, because this is a DPS build. And you're not relying on your skill power, but more or less the power of your weapons. And the major attributes, we have 4% crit chance, and a mod slot, a 6% first aid self-heal. So basically, if you're trying to replicate this build, then you'll have stamina on 2 pieces, and then you want firearms on 3, and then all my mods are firearms with stamina, with the exception of 1. And then you want crit chance on your mask and holster. I've tried it out with both crit damage on my backpack and knee pads, and with a dedicated healer, it's very possible as long as you stay within it. But with that extra 16k in health, it really helps out much more when waiting on other teammates and trying to survive until your teammates may rejoin the fight. So it does help out in survivability. So I opted in and left the health on my knee pads instead of rolling it as I previously had with crit damage. So to recap, you want the archetype weapons you'll be using, in this case SMGs, with crit chance, crit damage, crit hit damage on your backpack, crit hit chance on your holster and mask, and health on knee pads. Now let's move on to the weapons. In this case, I'm using the house, 25.1k base damage, 23% baked in crit hit chance, with vicious, deadly, and the card counter. One half of the magazine does 20% increased damage. The half which deals increased damage flips after 15 seconds or when the magazine is empty, and of course unforgiving. If you choose not to run such as vicious on the first talent, I prefer something else myself. I would even take brutal over this, because more likely than not in PvP situations, you're not going to be staying above 2 health bars for long. But if you're the one popping off first, then the extra quick bit of damage does help out tremendously. And basically it's the best house I have. It's debatable as far as on this one. Swift gives you that extra 25% faster reload speed, but deadly. And this is the only other house that I currently have is destructive and capable. The house gods in the division haven't been exactly nice to me. This actual scope is in DZ checkpoint 2 West. It's got 19% crit hit damage and 2.5% stability, with 4.5% optimal range and 3% crit chance. And the underbarrel, 19% crit hit damage, reload speed, and stability. And then the loud vent break, we have crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and stability. And the magazine, we have 117.5% magazine size, 4% crit damage, and 3% crit hit chance. Now let's go over to the character sheet. I'm at 55.5% crit hit chance, 127% crit hit damage, 50% headshot damage, a little 5% stability. All weapons damage bonus is 15%, and then I get 12% from my gloves, with a total of 27%. And then when using a skill, that'll kick in the extra 5% from the Barrett's chest piece, so that is an accumulation of 32% total buff and SMG damage, not counting your crits. My survivability and toughness is 475.8k. Max health pool is 122k.8. My max armor mitigation is 32.16%. Health regen, how much health you get back per second when your regeneration is active, is 36,322, which comes in handy when accompanied with a healer build and a group. And then we have 50% burn resistance, 33% disorient resistance, and the rest doesn't really matter. It's been a lot of fun to play with. Also, if you want to go over the talents on far as when it comes to group play, you want combat medic, using a medic near allies to heal the group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. So basically, when you pop a med kit, your teammates will get health in turn as well, and likewise if they also have combat medic on. Then we have strike back, reach low health to reduce inactive skill cooldowns by 20%. You can substitute this one if you so choose for, such as critical save. Use a med kit during low health, increases damage resistance by 20% for 10 seconds. Adrenaline is very sequential to this build, more or less than any other build, since the bleed from the pred is pretty much anybody's running it or nomad, but it's becoming more of a nomad meta than anything, because I mean basically you get 9 lives and it's just ridiculous, so you can basically stack everything into firearms and just rely on the procs. But with adrenaline, medkit now gives 7 seconds of immunity from status effects. And then definitely not triage unless you're more or less a healer build, or you're relying on more skill power. At least with 150k skill power, I would say then triage will probably come in handy and effective. But if you're a DPS build, you're better off with critical save. And to accompany my adrenaline, I am using an immunizer as always, and then with overdose and recovery link. So basically 2 people in your team, if not 3 at the most, should have recovery link, and then, or you can mix it up, 2 with greens and 2 with blue, the shield. I don't really use the tactical link that a lot of people do, especially if they're just like in a group of 3 or 4 standing around having emote battles. Then, you know, somebody can flag and then pop tac link and try to mow the field, and then they run away like little girls. But that's basically what the DZ has become. It's become an emote war where everybody just stands around policing the DZ. So Rogue, in my opinion, 2.0 has ruined the division. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I apologize for me being sick and maybe a little, I don't know, some people would call delusional, but that's not really outside of the norm for myself, especially if you play with me. But thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Try this out, 5-piece with Barrett's. And I'm going to send you some gameplay. We'll see you guys fighting later.
One down. That one down.
Can you deal with that?
Behind us, behind us. I'm getting focused. Ah, shield. Yeah, and I got one popped at D3, brought a D3 build out too. Like, really? Yep. Got one down. Nomad. Yeah, me too. Why does everybody want to rock Nomad these days? They gotta have 9 lives for some reason.